The email wasn't even to me. It meant for my mother, CC'd to her attorney, and somehow my address autofilled because we share a first initial. Subject line, draft will for review. I clicked before my good sense could raise its hand. I thought the worst part would be the email, until I read the clause. The PDF opened with a formal title and my mom's name in a serif font that looked like it charged by the hour. I skimmed past the being of sound mind part and landed on the distribution page. All tangible and financial assets to Brian Carter, my brother. There was a small paragraph about an appreciation of Leah support, but it named nothing. Then a line that felt like a trapdoor. No contest clause. If any beneficiary challenges, that person's share is reduced to $1. I stared long enough for my laptop to dim. I tapped the trackpad and, out of habit, reached for the receipts binder I keep on the shelf above my desk, the one with tabs for pharmacy, utility, Mom's car battery, Brian's temporary loan. I didn't open it. I just let my thumb rub the corner until the paper rounded under pressure. I texted Mom. Hey, did you mean to copy me on something? 3 dots appeared, blinked, vanished. A minute later, the family group chat buzzed. Mom, don't take anything personally. This is just estate planning. Brian, it's not finalized. Don't be dramatic. Mom again. We'll talk Sunday, okay? Family photo after church. Smile. They wanted a smile. I wanted a sentence that included my name. I typed, deleted, typed again. I saw the draft. That's all. No threat, no storm. Brian responded with a screenshot of a text thread with Mom cropped just so. Brian needs stability. Leah is independent. He added, it's about need, not love. The kind of sentence that sounds reasonable if you've never paid anyone's bills but your own. I put my phone face down and looked around my small apartment like it might answer me. The wooden box that holds my grandmother's ring sat on the bookcase. Mom always said, it will be yours one day, which I used to believe. Now it looked like evidence of how I'd been kept on the hook. Promises instead of plans. I grabbed my keys and felt the spare to Mom's house press against my palm. I've carried that key for 3 years, the in case of emergencies key that turned into can you run over and wait for the cable guy key. It had weight I hadn't noticed until it annoyed me. I walked to the corner to clear my head and ended up at the little deli where the owner knows I like too much mustard. He handed me my usual and said, you look like you found out a secret. I laughed because he was right without meaning to be. Something like that, I said, and ate my sandwich very slowly, as if chewing could change the facts. When I got home, Aunt June's missed call was waiting. Her voicemail was short. Leah, I heard there's paperwork. This isn't new. Call me. Not accusatory. Tired. The kind of tiredness that has dates to go with its stories. I saved it without listening twice. If this wasn't new, then I would have been rehearsing the wrong part for years. I thought I wanted fairness. What I wanted was clarity. Marco, my friend who doubles as a reality check, FaceTimed me without warning. You look like you're narrating your own life in grayscale, he said. I told him about the will. He winced. Do you want to fight or do you want out? I want my mom to see me, I said. That's not one of the options she's offering, he said gently. You can spend 2 years and $10,000 to lose a ring and your peace. Or you can plan she can't edit. I opened the PDF again, because sometimes you must read the thing that hurts. The no contest clause wasn't subtle. Any person who contests this will forfeit their gift and receive $1. It wasn't just a lock, it was a dare. I scrolled to the end and saw the attorney's name, Ms. Patel. If I was going to do anything, I needed to understand, not explode. The group chat pinged back to life. Mom, Sunday after church is non-negotiable. We're doing a nice picture for the family calendar. Brian, Leah, don't start. You know Mom's reasons. Me, I'll talk when I've had legal clarity. Not on camera. Brian, you always make things harder than they need to be. I took a screenshot, not to post, just to remember who said what when my brain tried to tidy it later. Then I opened Ms. Patel's website and clicked the schedule a free 15-minute consult button. The calendar had one opening tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. I booked it and wrote questions only in the notes. The wooden ring box on my shelf caught the light in a way that made it look important. I picked it up, weighed it in my palm, and set it back down with a small click that felt louder than it was. The spare key glinted next to my laptop. I didn't tell Mom about the consultation. I sent Aunt June a 2-word text instead, coffee? Tomorrow. And put the receipts binder on my desk where I couldn't ignore it anymore. Aunt June picked the corner table that isn't really a table, just a plank bolted to a window where the light makes everyone honest. She hugged me once and then looked at me like a doctor who already knows the diagnosis. I thought I wanted fairness. What I needed was a history lesson. This isn't new, she said, stirring her tea without tasting it. Your mother has been rehearsing this since we were girls. Brian is needy in her story. You are capable. She calls it love. It's accounting. I told her about the PDF, the line that gave everything to him, the $1 for you clause if I so much as blink wrong. June nodded, unsurprised. Your grandmother tried to fix it with keepsakes. She told me, if the paper isn't fair, make sure Leah keeps her peace. June sipped. Peace isn't a ring, honey. It's a choice. I hadn't said anything about the ring, but the wooden box clunked in my memory like it had heard its name. Will Mom listen if I ask her to revise it? I said, though I already knew the shape of the answer. She'll hear you, June said, and then she'll hear Brian. What do I do? You stop arguing inside a story where you were never the main character, she said gently. Get an attorney's clarity. Decide what you can live with. Then live. I left with a to-go cup and a spine. On the sidewalk, I texted Mom, can we talk today? Just us. She replied within a minute, which gave me hope I shouldn't have spent. At Mom's kitchen table, the lemon hand soap always smells like apology. She set down 2 mugs and reached for the smile she uses for family photos. Don't be hurt, she began, which is how hurt enters a room wearing my name tag. Brian needs stability. You're so independent. Mom, I said, calm on purpose. Independence didn't pay your copay last winter. I did. The car battery. The groceries after your surgery. Did Brian need stability then? Her eyes flicked to the fridge where the calendar, church, dentist, family photo Sunday, hung like an itinerary for feelings. This isn't about love, she said. It's about need. I need respect, I said, and a will that doesn't punish me for asking questions. She leaned back. The lawyer put in that clause. It's standard. Standard for silencing people, I said. It's a dare with $1 at the bottom. She pressed her lips together. Sunday after church is non-negotiable. We'll take a nice picture and move forward. Mom, I said, I'm not a backdrop. When reason couldn't move the room, the past did. She lowered her voice. You've always been difficult when we tried to do something nice. Nice as a photo, I said. Kind is a plan where your daughter isn't erased. The front door opened without a knock. Brian. He looked surprised to see me and then quickly composed the expression he uses on LinkedIn. Hey, he said, too bright. Mom told me you're upset about paperwork. It's not final. We can make it easy. Easy how? I said. He held up his phone. Ms. Patel can draw up a waiver so you don't get dragged into probate stress. It's standard. You sign that you won't contest, and we all avoid drama. You're independent, Leah. You don't want to be tied to this mess. There it was, the word again, standard, doing the heavy lifting for choices already made. I have a consult with Ms. Patel tomorrow at 10:30, I said. I'll ask her what a waiver actually means for me. Brian blinked. You made an appointment? Without telling Mom. I'm an adult, I said. I make appointments. Mom stood, the smile gone now. Leah, just be reasonable. I pictured the receipts binder on my desk, fat with errands I didn't Instagram. Reasonable includes me, I said. I'll talk after I understand my options. Not in a group chat. Not in a photo. Brian looked at Mom, then back at me with the practiced innocence of a person who benefits from other people's grace. If you're going to be dramatic, at least don't do it online, he said. I'm not, I said. I'm doing it at a law office. I left before they could assign me a role I no longer wanted to play. Outside, I sat in my car and opened my notes app. I wrote 3 questions for Ms. Patel. 1. What does the no contest clause actually cover? 2. If I sign a waiver, what rights do I give up? Keepsakes, objections, information. 3. How do I exit cleanly without feeding a smear? The receipts binder waited for me at home, like a witness. I pulled it down and turned pages. Pharmacy deliveries. Mom, car battery, a $62 space heater when the furnace limped. Brian's temporary loan in March that never visited again. The binder didn't make me angry. It made me done. Marco called. How'd the talk go? She wants a photo. He wants a signature. And you? I want a plan that doesn't require a courtroom or a calendar smile. Micro hook. The attorney's clarity would either give me a map or a mirror. Ms. Patel's office emailed a polite reminder. Please bring any relevant documents. We'll draft texts, receipts, any waivers requested. 10 minutes later, Brian texted me directly. No hard feelings. I'll have Ms. Patel email you something simple to sign before Sunday, so you're not dragged into all this. A little winky face followed like a period it didn't earn. Standard, I said out loud to my empty apartment, and slid the wooden ring box into my tote next to the binder. Not because I'd fight for it, but because I needed to decide what it meant if I didn't. As I zipped the tote, my phone buzzed. Ms. Patel moved my consult up to 9 a.m. And Brian, 3 dots blinking, typed, check your email tonight. Ms. Patel's office smelled like new paper and rain. She shook my hand once, sat, and gave me the kind of look people use when they plan to tell the truth, even if it isn't helpful. I didn't get what I wanted. I got what was true. I read the draft your mother received, she said, tapping the printed PDF. As written, everything passes to your brother. There's a paragraph thanking you for your support, but it doesn't gift you anything specific. I saw the no contest clause, I said. If I challenge, I get $1. Important detail, she said gently. Right now, you're not getting a gift. These clauses usually apply to named beneficiaries who would otherwise get something. Litigating that nuance would be expensive, and even if a court found the clause inapplicable, you'd still be fighting a will that leaves you nothing. So my choices are losing money in court or lose peace at home, I said. Your choices are clarity or combat, she replied. Clarity means you accept what's on paper. You keep records. You decide what contact looks like. Combat means you contest, you risk costs, time, and family damage, and your prospects aren't strong. I slid my receipts binder onto her desk like a confession. I kept this, I said. Pharmacy runs, copays, car battery, groceries after surgery, a loan to Brian. She flipped a few tabs, nodded. These are thorough. They prove you've been a caregiver. They don't magically convert into an inheritance. She closed the binder and placed her palm on it, like a blessing. But they can inform the boundary you set. You owe no more unpaid labor. You're allowed to stop. What about this waiver he keeps mentioning? I asked. A waiver can mean many things, she said. Sometimes it's just, I won't contest the will. Sometimes it also waives rights to information, accounting, or even potential claims outside the will. Don't sign anything you didn't ask me to read first. You can also choose not to sign anything at all. The binder stopped being ammunition. It became a mirror. If I don't fight, I said, what about keepsakes? Ask once in writing politely, she said. If they refuse, choose peace over objects. Document your request. Then decide your exit plan, what you'll return, what you'll mute, and what terms, if any, would ever bring you back. Terms. Grown-up ones, she said. Therapy. Respectful communication. No money requests. You can set conditions for contact without ultimatums. I sat very still. I had imagined justice as winning something. She offered me a different prize, ending the audition. Okay, said. No lawsuit. No waiver unless you read it. One written ask for keepsakes. Then I end the unpaid job. Ms. Patel nodded like we'd replaced a fuse. That is a plan. I'll email you a template for a clean boundary letter. Keep it short. No diagnosis, no postmortem. Just here's what I'm doing and why. Here are conditions for future contact. And Leah, return the spare key if you're done being on call. I felt the cool shape of that key in my pocket like it had finally admitted its real name. When I got home, I set the binder on the table and opened it fully. I read every entry I'd taped down. $18.43 pharmacy, $62 space heater, $289 car battery, $350 temporary loan to Brian. The binder didn't make me angry. It made me feel down. I closed it with both hands the way you close a door that's never latched right. A message from Ms. Patel landed. Subject: templates. Inside were 3 short documents. 1. Boundary letter. 3 paragraphs max. 2. Keepsake request. Polite, documented. 3. Waiver review offer. Have any documents sent to my office. I stared at the email like it could hold me upright. I drafted my keepsake request first, because it hurts less to ask a small thing than to say a big one. Hi, Mom. I saw Grandma's ring on my shelf. If it's important to you that it stays in the family line you've planned, I can return it with a house key. If it's okay for me to keep it as a memory of her, please confirm in writing. If not, I understand and will bring it on Sunday when I drop the key. Love, Leah. I haven't sent it yet. I printed it and put it under the wooden box, a note beneath a note. Then I wrote the boundary letter in Ms. Patel's format. I'm stepping back from unpaid tasks and crisis calls. I won't sign waivers or discuss estate planning in group chats. If therapy and respectful communication are in place for 3 months, I'll consider low-contact coffee. Otherwise, I wish you well from a distance. No barbs. No scorekeeping. Just I'm done, and here's how I'll exist. He wanted my signature. I decided to bring a key. A text popped up from Aunt June. Proud of you. If you bring the key on Sunday, I'll meet you on the sidewalk. You don't have to go in. I exhaled like I'd been holding my breath since the subject line that started this. I muted the family group chat for 8 hours to practice what quiet could sound like when it wasn't surrender. The apartment felt bigger. The wooden ring box looked smaller. At 6:12 p.m., right on cue, an email slid into my inbox from a paralegal at Ms. Patel's firm, but forwarded by Brian with his own subject line. Simple waiver. Please sign before Sunday to keep things easy. The PDF icon sat there like a chess piece I didn't have to touch. I didn't open it. I placed the spare key next to the ring box, printed my letters, and set an alarm labeled return. Key signature. Tomorrow, I'd deliver an answer that didn't need their permission. Brian's email sat in my inbox all night like a dare in PDF form. Simple waiver. Please sign before Sunday to keep things easy. I forwarded it to Ms. Patel with one line. Not signing. Logging for record. She replied at 7:12 a.m. Correct. Do not sign. If they press, CC me. All estate communications in writing. Microhook. He wanted my signature. I brought a plan. I sent my keepsake request to Mom at 7:18 a.m. The one Ms. Patel helped shape, polite, documented, no theater. Then I printed the boundary letter and slid it into a plain envelope with my name. 3 paragraphs, no barbs. I'm stepping back from unpaid tasks and crisis calls. I won't sign waivers or discuss the will in group chats. If therapy and respectful communication hold for 3 months, I'll consider low-contact coffee. Otherwise, I wish you well from a distance. I placed the spare key on top of the envelope. Metal on paper made a small, decisive sound. The family group chat woke up on schedule. Mom, leaving for church at 10. Family photo after. Don't make this difficult. Brian, Leah, please sign the waiver so we can all have a peaceful Sunday. Me, I won't be in the photo. All estate matters to my attorney in writing. I pasted Ms. Patel's office email. Brian, wow. Lawyered up? Over nothing. I muted the thread for a year and felt my apartment exhale. Aunt June pulled to the curb at 9:40 a.m. Windows down, gospel radio low. Sidewalk drop, she said. You hand me what's yours to hand, I handle the rest. We parked across from my mother's house, the place where the lemon hand soap smells like apology, and where my key had turned a lot of locks that weren't mine. I didn't go up the walk. I didn't rehearse speeches. I took the envelope from my tote, set the key on top, and passed both to June. She tucked them into a larger manila, like a magician who only performs exits. If she's home? I asked. I'll knock, June said. If not, it goes through the slot. You go get coffee. My hand steadied without my permission. Thank you. I used to measure love by what I could carry. Today I measured it by what I put down. As June crossed the street, my phone buzzed. New message from Ms. Patel. For your records. Any waiver must be presented by our office. Otherwise, ignore. A second buzz. Mom, keepsake. I opened it. If the ring means that much, keep it. But don't weaponize family heirlooms. Come take the photo and stop this. The sentence tried to dress itself as generosity and arrived as leverage. I typed slowly, thanks for confirming. I won't be in the photo. My letter explains the rest. June is dropping it off. I put the phone away before the next reply could mistake speed for authority. June came back with empty-handed and a certainty I decided to borrow. Slot, she said. No audience. Clean. She squeezed my shoulder. You did the adult thing. Now go do an adult day. Adult day. I drove to the park, walked the long loop around the pond, and noticed the ridiculous bravery of ducks that don't understand inheritance. Marco called. How'd the handoff go? Keys gone. Letters in. I asked for the ring in writing. Mom said keep it with a gilt garnish. Classic, he said. What's next? Leave the group chat. Keep receipts. Build a life that isn't a waiting room. At noon, church bells scattered over the neighborhood like confetti for other people's pictures. My phone lit with new group chat. Family photo, smiles. Brian had created a separate thread and added cousins like a chorus. I declined the invitation and, for the first time, left the original family chat entirely. A pop-up asked, "Are you sure?" I pressed leave and the app went quietly in a way that wasn't surrender. At 12:23, Brian texted me directly. Mom is crying. You happy? We'll remember this when the will is final. I didn't answer. I CC'd Ms. Patel and wrote, Future Estate Communications to Council. Do not contact me about the will. She replied, received. I made lunch. I opened my receipts, binder one last time, not for ammunition, but for ceremony. I slid a post-it on the inside cover, no more unpaid tasks. Then I put it on a shelf I don't reach every day. Some doors close with a click, not a slam. By late afternoon, Mom sent a photo from the church steps, Brian beaming, arm around her shoulder, a caption begging the internet to read kindness into a crop. I felt the tug, guilt dressed as duty, and let it pass. I typed a short message to June instead. Thank you for standing on my sidewalk. She wrote back, anytime. At 5:02 p.m., an email arrived from the paralegal. We have rescinded any request for Leah to sign a waiver. Please direct future inquiries to our office. The PDF that had sat like a dare softened into a footnote. I closed my laptop. Evening, I found myself at my kitchen table with a wooden ring box in my palm. It wasn't shining. It was just wood and metal and 100 small stories that predated this week. I set it beside my printed keepsake request and Mom's keep it reply and understood the last part of Ms. Patel's advice. Peace is an object, but sometimes an object can stop being a hook. I drafted one more note. Short, clear, no theater. I'm stepping back for peace. I won't be available for house tasks or estate discussions. If you choose therapy and we practice respectful communication for 3 months, I'll consider coffee. Otherwise, I wish you well from a distance. I didn't send this one. I'd already delivered it on paper. I copied it into my notes app as a script for my spine. As I powered down my phone, a new voicemail appeared from Mom. No transcript, just 001. I let it sit. Tomorrow, I'd decide what the ring meant. Tonight, the only thing I needed to hold was my boundary. The voicemail sat there like a coin on a windowsill. 001 untitled. I let it be. I made coffee, opened the window, and wrote the only public thing I planned to say. Stepping back to protect my peace. I won't be discussing family or estate matters online. If you know me, you know I love quietly. I'll be over here doing that. No names, no subtweets. I hit post, turned off comments, and put my phone face down like a lid on a pot that didn't need to boil. I used to think closure arrived with a speech. Today it arrived with a click. I took the receipts, binder down one last time. Page by page, I checked my own math, pharmacy, space heater, car battery, the temporary loan that retired early. Then I slid a final post-it inside the cover. No more unpaid tasks. The binder didn't go in the trash. It went on a high shelf, the kind you need a chair to reach, present but not handy. A buzz from Ms. Patel, confirming, waiver request withdrawn. All future estate communications must go through our office. Another from Aunt June. You all right? Better than all right, I wrote. Uneasy and honest. That's the starting line, she replied. I set the wooden ring box on the table and the printed keepsake request beneath it, with Mom's reply, keep it, clipped to the top. The ring sat in my palm like a small, important planet. I thought about the way it had been used, in stories and promises, as a hook. Then I thought about my grandmother's voice, the one June swore could fold a room around kindness. Peace isn't an object, but sometimes an object stops being a hook when you decide it will never be bait again. I didn't put the ring on my finger. I took it to the little jewelry shop near the bus stop. Can you set this on a simple chain? I asked. No inscription, no meaning to explain. Just something I can wear on days I need someone who loved me before a will. The jeweler nodded like she'd heard that exact sentence before. 20 minutes later, the ring hung near my collarbone. Not a prize, not a debt, just a memory I chose. On the way home, I passed my mother's block. The house looked the same, lemon soap and all those framed photos in the front hall, but it no longer required my key or my calendar. I kept walking. 2 streets over, a community-centered chalkboard advertised a Tuesday night class, beginning pottery. I took a picture. Clay remembers the hand that shapes it. So do families. So do we. By late afternoon, Brian tried one more angle. A text screenshot of him and Mom under the church steps photo. We'll remember this when the will is final, he wrote. I didn't reply. I forwarded it to Ms. Patel with one word, logged. The power of refusing to perform is quiet and enormous. It doesn't clap for itself. I cooked dinner for one and FaceTime Marco, who demanded a toast with tea. To what? He asked, raising his mug. To choosing what I carry, I said, touching the chain. And what I put down. Some doors slam. Mine clicked. Night found me on my couch with a paperback I didn't have to read twice to be believed. The phone buzzed. A postcard filled the screen. Aunt June forwarding a photo of real mail with my name in my mother's hand. The message was 5 sentences. The first 3 mattered. Leah, I've started therapy. I'm listening to the ways I made need into love. When you're ready for a short coffee, I would like to hear what respect would look like for you. There were 2 more sentences about Sundays and photos that I let blow past like weather. I didn't know instant hope or instant no. I owed myself the version of distance I'd promised. I took out my notes app and typed 3 sentences I could live with, borrowed straight from my letter. I'm glad you're in therapy. If respectful communication holds for 3 months, I'm open to a short coffee in a public place. No estate talk. All logistics through counsel. I printed that, too, not to send tonight, but to keep myself honest when the wind shifted. I put it with the binder on the high shelf. At the sink, I washed my plate and let the water run hot over my knuckles. The chain warmed against my skin. I checked the door the way you do when you live alone and love the sound of your own safety. It clicked closed, plain, and final. Before bed, I listened to the 001 voicemail. It was breath and a swallow and a soft, unpracticed Leah. I didn't call back. I set my alarm for the pottery class and laid the ring against my collarbone. A memory, not a hook. Then turned off the light.